Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is the Surge Effect, and this podcast, man, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Surge Effect. In today's episode of the Surge Effect, we're going to be talking about the meeting between Trump and Carney. Just going to break it down for you a little bit. Just going to show you some highlights. Hopefully this isn't really long, but everyone has a different spin on things, and let's see how this podcast goes, and let's begin. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is just a couple of quick clippings here. These are just from like newspapers here in Canada. This is actually from a newspaper, I believe, in Quebec. Yeah, because of the French there. It says Carney 1, Trump 0. See that? Carney 1, Trump 0. I found that kind of hard to believe after watching some of this stuff. Here's one here from the Globe and Mail. Mark Carney's trip to Washington is already a winner. I'm going to play some of these clips for you. I'll let you decide whether or not it was a winner or a loser. Before I start showing you some of these videos, I just want to show you a little clip here from X. This is from Vesper. I cannot tell you how absolutely embarrassed I am as a Canadian. During the meeting, Carney spoke for 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Trump spoke for 29 minutes and 47 seconds. Thank you for letting Donald Trump embarrass all of Canada for half an hour while you sat there like a silent coward. And there's a little video on Vesper's channel. You can go and check that out. I just took a little snippet there of what he said. So 3 minutes and 18 seconds Carney spoke for, and Trump spoke for the rest. So here is Trump introducing Carney.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office.
Quite a few times. I thought, according to Mark, he only spoke to him a couple of times. Trump said quite a few times. You take that as you want. But Trump, I think he's way off base on that one when he said that, that Canadians made a great choice. And I don't think Trump's paying attention. Either that or he doesn't have people advising him on stuff. But here's one here right after that when he calls him it was a great debate, is what he said.
And ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent. And I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine.
He said he had a lot of things in common. Does that mean that Carney and Trump are like almost identical, or do they have so many things in common? But yet, what happened with the Canadian people? They seem to think Carney was the guy that's going to go against Trump and give him the what's for and all that fun stuff. I don't see too much of that happening at this point. So get this one. This is almost 4 minutes into this meeting. Trump finally allows Carney to speak. And this is how that went.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic, And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Wow. Thank you very much. It was a very nice statement. Carney had his opportunity to say whatever he wanted to there, because all during the campaign, in the 30 days leading up to the election, he was really slagging Trump about all kinds of stuff. But there you go. He had his first opportunity, and that's all he had to say. He kind of praised him, right? Like kissing the ring, right? Kind of bending the knee, so to speak. But when Trump said he did a great job at the debate and all that stuff, I couldn't believe that one. So he's going to say the same thing here again about the debate once again. Here we go.
Canada and the United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in Europe?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen.
Once again, saying about the debate, obviously Trump never watched the debate, or Trump was advised by people that never watched the debate or never watched it close enough, because anyone that watched that debate knows that Mark Carney got crushed. He even got crushed by Jagmeet Singh. He was terrible during the debates, absolutely terrible. So I don't know what the hell he's watching, but anyway, it is what it is. So here's another question here that was asked about Canada.
You want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship.
But that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada.
He wants friendship with Canada. That's the main concession that he'd like. He'd like friendship. So let's get right to the meat of it here. And this is about the whole thing that drove the election, was the 51st state. The whole thing that Carney said, yeah, we'll tell him. Here we go.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state. Were you joking?
No. Well, I still believe that, but takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting
Look at Carney's
Canada
body
if
language.
you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. We have done that in the past, and part of that, as the President just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership, and I'll say this as well, that the President has revitalized international security, revitalize NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
And they have.
So that was the opportunity, of course, for Carney to say what he said, and he did. And of course, yeah, it's never for sale. And of course, that was the headline, right? That was the big headline, all across Canada and the newspapers and people taking clips of it. But that was literally like the second time he got to speak during that whole meeting. And this is what Trump said in regards to that.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say, never say never. I've had many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, you know, Canada loves us, and we love Canada.
Never say never. How come that wasn't splattered all over the newspapers and all over the media? Never say never. Trump is the deal maker. He is the guy that everyone goes to make deals. They go to the White House, just like all of them have. Japan went and they cut $1 trillion deal for gas, for natural gas. It's just wild that how this whole thing unfolded. So this is what he had to say about the USMCA deal, right? Which is the United States, Mexico, Canadian agreement. It took over for NAFTA. Listen to what he says. Listen to what Trump says about this one.
USMCA, is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person.
That was Chrystia Freeland, by the way, who happens to be Mark Carney's the godfather of her children.
And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But so, you know, we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much.
There you have that one, right? Pretty much ended that relationship because someone was trying to pull a fast one. You brought up, he didn't even bring up her name. He just said to Carney, you know who I'm talking about, kind of thing. And this is the second time he talked about the Carney's talking about the USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canadian agreement. Here we go.
I'll say a word on USMCA if I may, Mr. President.
If I
it is
may.
a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
On board.
Another little snippet of Carney being able to speak, being let to speak. You know, if I may. Here's another one here. This went a little viral the other day, of course, yesterday, because this is was asked of Trump.
Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars.
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
No, just the way it is. Good luck. Good luck trying to get through that, right? But hey, Carney was gonna handle Trump. He was gonna look after it. Here's another talk about the 51st state.
The 51st state. Yeah. If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may.
If I may.
Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly,
look at Trump's
we
face.
are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and
36-minute meeting. Mark Carney spoke 3 times for a total of 3 minutes and 18 seconds. This is the last clip I'm going to show you from the meeting with Trump and Carney, but this is basically, I think, it feels like Carney's getting dressed down. And this is basically, in a nutshell, what Trump feels in regards to the tariffs and the taxation in Canada. And he lays it on the line. But, hey, folks, everyone thinks that Carney was going to be the savior to Canada and going to be looking after Trump. But here he has to say this.
we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada.
Look at Mark Carney squirming in his chair.
A place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're not going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very Thank you very much.
Wasn't that great? He just does all that, basically dresses him down, and then just shuts down the meeting completely, right? Carney squirming there, trying to say stuff. He can't say anything. He's not going to say a word. So basically, in a nutshell, I'm just going to kind of put a few of these things together here. This last one is from Jasmine Lane. I've mentioned Jasmine before. Actually, Jasmine did a interview with Pierre Poilievre and Anna, and she did a great job of putting this together. In a nutshell, this is kind of what transpired in this whole video, that these videos I just showed you. She did a great job. Go check her out, Jasmine Lane.
I don't think we can change Donald Trump. I don't think so. Not at this stage.
Would get you to lift tariffs on Canada.
No,
Why not?
just the way it is.
And a person who draws his inspiration from President Trump, like Pierre Poilievre, will kneel down before him.
You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world.
Before he stands up to him. He's in sync with President Trump.
I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common.
Pierre Poilievre is also choosing to be willfully blind to the many and growing threats that face our country.
We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things.
What the big companies are producing, by and large, are not
products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, you know, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used to. So anyway, so
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're not going to, you know, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, you know, it's not fair.
So that is a little synopsis, basically, of all those videos I just showed you. And then, of course, Jasmine Lane does a fantastic job of doing that. So the last clip I'm going to show you is Carney doing a post-press conference after the meeting with Trump. And this is what he had to say.
I heard you say, you know, there's a difference between the president's comments around Canada becoming a 51st state as a wish versus a reality. You told him that Canada was not for sale. But many Canadians are offended and deeply angered by the fact that he keeps repeating this comment. So have you asked the president to stop calling Canada the 51st state?
yes, today.
Okay, specifically, what did you ask him?
Exactly what you just said.
But
Wow.
What words did you use? How did you ask him?
Look, I gave you an answer. Do you have a follow-up?
I'll
No.
say. What was his answer?
Well, we'll look. I don't know. He's the president. He's his own person. I would go back to showing the difference between a wish and a reality. We're very clear. I've been very clear publicly, consistently. I've been very clear in private. It was clear again in the Oval Office. Would be clear throughout. The president, he understands that we're having a negotiation between sovereign nations, and that we will only pursue and accept a deal that's in the best interests of Canada, not just in the short term, but in the medium and long term for Canada.
Do you, after seeing all those videos and watching everything transpire, do you honestly believe that he told Trump to stop talking 51st state? Do you obviously think that he turned to him and said, hey, stop talking 51st state. I don't like that. Do you honestly believe he did that? I personally find that hard to believe after watching all we just watched. So after watching everything we just watched, do you honestly believe this big, you know, this saying that they said throughout the whole election, elbows up? Is it elbows up? Or is it elbows down? What do you think? Elbows up or elbows down? I'd like to know what you think. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think Mark Carney did against Donald Trump? Go ahead and leave your stuff in the comments below. I know what I think. I have my view of what transpired and what went down there. Our CBC in Canada and CTV and all the Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, all the mainstream media, because CBC is funded to tune of $1.5 billion by taxpayers. They are going to say Carney was just magnificent, and he did a fantastic job, right? Let me know what you think. Drop in the comments below. That's it for today's podcast, everybody. Hope you have a great day, and that's going to be it for another week, maybe. Maybe we'll see if it's going to be a week or so, maybe a few more days, whatever pops up in the mainstream. But I had to kind of cover what just transpired yesterday because I personally think that Carney got his, you know what, handed to him, and the whole world saw it. And I think maybe a lot of liberals might be having a buyer's remorse right about now. Anyway, like I've always said, everyone, hey, a lot of stuff happens in your life. Got to keep moving forward. Got to keep moving forward, everyone. Till next time, everyone, have yourself a great day. Cheers.